Have you ever turned one piece of content into several? Creating multiple posts from one saves you so much time and energy. It's the difference between struggling to come up with new ideas every day and having a content buffer for later from just a little bit of work. The average small business spends 6 to 8 hours every week working on posts. And who has time for that? We all have businesses to run. We're not social media stars. So by rethinking old posts, you can actually reduce that time. Stick around until the end and I'll share a free resource to help you create posts in just 5 minutes. I'm Kate Gilbert and I help small businesses work smarter, not harder. Today I'm sharing a video from my Post It Pronto course showing exactly how I turned one therapist's post into several. There are 4 key benefits to reusing content like this. First of all, your messaging becomes more consistent when you've already done the work once, and then you don't have to rethink it again. Secondly, you can reach different learning styles by presenting the same concept in various formats. And third, you can reach people who may not have seen the first version of your post even. And most importantly, you can build a library of content that works for you even when you're busy with other things. When you create one decent post, you've already done the hard work of clarifying your message and organizing your thoughts. But often we've touched on several ideas in that single post, and that's really where we can start breaking things up into pieces. The trick is recognizing the different pieces within your content that can stand alone. Think of your original post as a treasure chest. And inside are these gems that we have to share individually, like personal stories, actionable tips, thought-provoking questions, powerful statements, or maybe you made like a top 5 list. Now, any of these can become its own post. So to give you an example of this, I take one post from Dr. Annette Athey, who's a therapist, and she's asking people to sign up for a quiz to find out what kind of grief their child is experiencing. And I take that one single page post and turn it into a carousel. And then I take each page of that carousel and turn it into another carousel. And we could keep doing that for a while. Actually, we could like break it down further and further. So you can see me start the process in this video right here. In this video, we're going to turn one single image post into a carousel. And I actually think we could probably turn it into multiple carousels, at least 6 of them, I'd say. So let's start with the first one. We have this graphic here from Dr. Annette Athey. She is a grief counselor for children. And so she has a quiz about which type of griever your child is and name for different kinds of storms. So we're going to make a whole new document. It looks as though she made this originally for Facebook, so it's a little bit horizontal. That's fine. We can make it for Instagram. We can either choose that we want to do a 4:5 ratio or a square. And these will, the square or this will also work on Facebook. It's fine. So I generally prefer not to post landscape style things to Instagram. So let's make our carousel with a 4:5. So my idea here is that each page can be its own grief storm with information about that grief storm. So let's start by putting in the grief storm pretty big. And we're going to grab a box of the color that Annette uses. Let's do that. And I have some text in another document that I'm just going to copy and paste into here. So this one is called the rainstorm. So let's put that text there. And we have some descriptive text about the rainstorm that I can put underneath here. We can work from here and make this page like a new slide with the next kind of grief storm. So let's paste in the next one. And this one is called a thunderstorm. And now we'll do the same thing with each of the other kinds. Okay, so we have each of our 5 slides, each one about its own kind of grief storm. I think it would be nice to have a cover though, so we can actually start with her original post. And what I think I'm actually going to do is I'm going to grab this and put it here so it's about the same size. And let's put some text in. We're going to say something like, did you know? And maybe we'll just move these around a bit and sort of okay, I think that looks pretty nice. The only thing I would say is missing is we probably want some kind of arrow. So we can take a look and see, is there a particular style that we like? You know, maybe we'll use this guy. I don't like that. Let's use a more traditional arrow. So I'm just going to put this here just to indicate that you can swipe, and we don't need one on the last page. So there we are. We have a nice little carousel post made from one graphic that we had originally. And now, like I said, I think we could actually turn this into more carousels. Now, what am I talking about? What I'm talking about is I think we could dive deeper. So for example, we could do a carousel just about rainstorm and just about the different kinds of characteristics of this sort of grieving child. So if we want to start a new document, then I'll show you what I'm thinking it could look like. We could start with, we could just start with the really big head and mark it rainstorm. Obviously, I'm not a psychologist, so Dr. Athey would have to approve of this type, and I'm sure she could do it better than me. So I'm just doing this really as an example. But for example, we could decide that this was our cover page, and maybe I want to actually grab this color that she uses. We'll put it in the background here. All right. I'm not sure that's working great against this color, so I'm just going to modify it a little bit to make it a little paler. All right, now this one we can go with the darker one if we want to. Now on this page, we want to identify the different characteristics. So she has this illustration here that has the characteristics in it. So, you know, let's take the characteristics and isolate them. And one way to call them out in a way that would be nice would be to sort of gray out the ones that we weren't talking about. So for example, here, if we're talking about, you know, crying a lot, for example, then we can gray out these other ones. And all this is a triangle with this gray color in it, and I've put some transparency into it. Now, if we look at the layers, I'm going to ungroup this, and then I actually want to just put these triangles right on top of those pictures, but behind these guys. So, that looks okay. I could adjust a little more, of course, to make those little edges disappear, but I just want to do this quickly for you guys. So, for example, we could be talking about crying a lot, and I'm going to put in some text. I don't have text about crying a lot, so, Dr. Athey would have to put that in, but, I could start with, a text block, and then she would be able to do that. So I'm just using this as placeholder text for now. And then on the next slide, we could be talking about this one here, which appears to be, needing close physical contact. So we can say needing close physical contact. And, we can play with how the text should be. If this is placeholder text, of course, but, Dr. Athey would put in her text here, and then we would just continue and make them for the rest of these, highlighting one each time, explaining what the characteristics were. And of course, that means we can do this for each of these. So this is what I'm talking about, when we could actually make so many pieces of content out of this one piece of content. She could also post just this page, take the arrow off of it, and post just this page at some point as its own post, just talking about Rainstorm, So we have so many options here. We've made at least 6 pieces of content. If not, I would say 11 even, maybe more. And so I hope this will be helpful to you to think about how you could do the same thing with your content. As you can see, with this approach, one thoughtful post can generate so many pieces of content that you can schedule through the week or the month, and it'll save you time and stress. So if you'd like more help thinking about how to create posts really quickly, you can download my Yikes, I Should Post 5-minute posting process guide. I'll put the link for you down in the description. To dive deeper into creating efficient, engaging content that builds your audience and saves you time, check out my Post It Pronto course. The link is also in the description below. And I'd love to know, what is your biggest challenge when it comes to social media for your business? Let me know in the comments.